Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I am delighted to be here with you today. And I'm so delighted that you're here with me today. And I hope you've all had a wonderful week. I didn't see you for the last 2 weeks because of the holiday, but we're back and we're strong and we're raring to go. And I thank you for sharing your time with us because I know it is very precious. And I want to welcome Amnon, who is our producer.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine. So how were you two? How was your week? Last week.
It's been great.
What did you do instead of doing a show?
Last Monday?
Yeah. You don't remember.
I don't remember. What did I even have a Monday when I don't do the show? Is there even a Monday in the week? I don't know. I've been doing a lot. I can tell you I've been doing a lot of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing hiking. I've been, doing all kinds. I've been swimming. Just trying to
Very
do all
nice.
those things, keeping up with stuff, catching up, spending time with my family. I'm going to be a new grandma soon, so that's all really good. I spend time with my grandson who calls me Grandma Mawalyn. I love that every time he calls me Grandma Mawalyn. So it's all good. And you? How about
I've been
you?
doing fine. And last
Yeah?
Monday, it's a good thing you decided not to do a show last Monday.
Why?
Because I forgot all about the fact that at 12 o'clock I had to be downtown for a ceremony. So that's why we did Debbie's show early, so
gotcha.
I'll have time.
See, things work out
Yeah,
for the best,
it worked
don't they?
just fine.
So, everyone, we always do our best to bring you just some really interesting stuff here. I always say this, whether it's a tool, a strategy, permission, some kind of something medical, something historical, something that just empowers us to know more in a way, as I was just telling my guest, something that's approachable. Because we're approachable. I'm here, sitting here with you. I'm listening with you. I'm talking with you. And I always welcome you to, call in anytime during our shows. You're more than welcome at 919-518-9773 or Computers 2K voice, if you like to call us in on Skype. You're more than welcome to do that as well. But we always, we pride ourselves on just exploring options for us all. Because where are you going to get all this stuff from? And here, we just want to bring you a smattering of everything. And today's guest is very, very, very interesting. She is a stained glass solar artist, and she lives in Canada. Her work is all around the world. I was just chatting with her a bit. She has work in the United States, which I really, really want to go see, because seeing some of her photographs, they're amazing just in a photograph. And she's got work in Canada. She has work in Europe. She's really so interesting. Her name is Sarah Hall. She's well-known internationally. She's won all kinds of awards. She does her fabrication in Germany, which is very interesting. So she lives in Canada, but does her fabrication in Germany. And I'm going to just bring her on and let her talk about herself, because who better to talk about her than her? So let me introduce you to Sarah Hall. Sarah, welcome.
Hi, Marilyn. Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah, it's really lovely to have you here. So tell us about you. So you are a stained glass solar artist. So there's a difference there, because I know I've heard of stained glass artists, but not stained glass solar artists. Can you tell us about that?
It's something that's really new in our field. It's only been absolutely in the last 10 years it's been possible to integrate solar energy collection along with art glass. And I began my studies in 1974 over in the architectural glass program at Swansea College of Art. I then apprenticed with a master from the Royal College of Art, and then lived in Jerusalem for a year to study and research Islamic and Middle Eastern techniques in glass, and gold leaf work through the Orthodox Church, and returned home and established my studio in 1980 here in Toronto. And I would say I had learned very traditional stained glass, where the glass blowers are making our beautiful colored glass, and we are leading it, painting it, sandblasting it. But my commissions have been on a very large scale, and about 12 years ago, I began doing my fabrication in Germany. I needed more techniques. I needed to bring some industrial codes to my work. And as I was there, I saw these incredible solar buildings. It wasn't solar images or solar panels sitting on top of a roof, but solar actually integrated into all of the walls of the building. And beautiful, elegant designs for buildings. There's a name for it. It's called Building Integrated Photovoltaic. And one of the engineers who was working in this came to our studio. And because the solar was between two layers of glass now, he said, is there an artist who would like to work with these the solar cells in your work? And there was a very large group of artists there, and most of them said, oh no, this would be a terrible imposition to bring a grid and these solar cells into their work. It would be absolutely kind of...
Sarah, let me interrupt you one bit. So when you say bringing solar into it, what does that mean? And when you talk about looking at all the walls, what does that mean?
It means that instead of a solar panel sitting on top of a roof to collect energy, which is mostly what we have here in North America, the solar cells, I've just got one right here, solar cell, invented in 1952 in Bell Laboratories to keep our satellites up in space. These solar cells are integrated with art glass into the wall of the building.
So they're not stained glass. They're integrated.
Well, now I'm going to kind of go back to that word or that definition, stained glass. When I initially studied, we did leaded stained glass. Since then, my work has become large-scale paintings on glass. And because it's no longer leaded, it allows me to do something like introduce solar collection into my work.
So these are solar collectors.
That's right. Yeah, they're collecting energy for the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the regular,
right,
boring collectors you see on top of buildings,
but unboring.
But it's got art.
But it's got art.
Yeah,
that's right. It is those solar cells, but they're integrated now with my painting.
So the paintings that you do you do them on, like, so what do you, they're on a small scale, then they're rendered bigger. Is that what is that how is that what happens? Is that the process?
That's right. I do a sketch and I do maquettes, architectural models, and then I take my designs to Germany and work with the artisans in the studio to create the work. And it's essentially a team of people because you need, the panels are very large and you need a team of people even to carry it over into the kiln to fire it.
So now what got you so interested in stained glass to begin with?
It's a wonderful question. I love color and light, and I love the fact that it creates a special world, which is, in a sense, its own world. It's when you sit in a room that has stained glass windows and maybe no other view to the outside, the color and light and pattern, the design of it, creates this totally beautiful, self-contained world. And I decided when I was 9 years old, that's what I would do. I would make windows. And then there was nowhere to study it very seriously in North America. So I then went off to Swansea College of Art and studied architectural glass.
You know, that is so true. I never thought about it that way, but because when you look at stained glass, I mean, there's a dimension to it. You know, there's the light and, you know, there's all these beams and things coming off. So it does create like your own world.
And especially that passage of light, when light comes through those colored panes, there's just something absolutely beautiful and special about that world that is created. And this is what I wanted to do from the time I was 9.
So describe that world, the world as you see it, that world.
I I think early in my career, I was very interested. My work has always been part of buildings, and I would really study how the light was affecting that particular room and talk with the clients and create something very special. I'm interested in sacred spaces. I've done a number of churches, synagogues, chapels, quiet rooms, retreats. I've also done public art and embassies and other kinds of institutions. And so each time I have this wonderful opportunity to take a room and a place and transform it. But a few years ago, I became very interested also in our environment and our world, what we're doing to our world. And this idea to bring the solar is really part of my own sense of initiative that I want to do something that is a contribution to our world. And if I can make solar look beautiful and interesting, people will be interested in renewable energy.
Wow. I basically have my eyes closed and I'm just envisioning all of these things. So first of all, tell me when you start your process. So you first study how the light is entering into the room, and then you are also, I guess, understanding how the room is being used.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Say that again?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Some spaces are meant to be very active, and you have to bring the kind of work that people can easily pass through the room and still enjoy it. Other spaces are meant to be very quiet, contemplative, where people are actually sitting and being quiet. And of course, for different ages, I think that every single place I've made is totally unique. I've never, and I've made almost 1,000 windows now at this point in time, and everything has been totally unique and different from each other.
Amnon has a question for you.
Sarah, I'm the technical guy now, right?
Okay.
So does the fact that the glass is stained on top of the collector, does it affect its efficiency? Does it enhance?
That's a very good question. I bring all of my color and in the art glass behind the solar cell, so that we're not affecting the efficiency, and it's gathering as much energy as possible.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's
if you
very
brought
cool.
something in front of it, you would block some of the ability to get the energy.
Wow, very interesting. So Chris posted this quote, which is beautiful. So I'm going to read it. People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is light from within. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Beautiful.
Ross, that's right. Isn't it a beautiful quote? I know that one.
I bet you do.
It's just lovely.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you,
Yes,
Chris. So tell me, I'm so intrigued about this concept of examining the room, examining how the room is being used, or how they want it to be used, what's going on in the room, the energy, and then being able to design the glass around the use of the room. So tell me, give me a full package, for instance, a church you did, a building you did, an advertising agency that you did, something that paints a picture of how you did your process, like what you created and why you created it, something specific.
Right. Let's see. I guess perhaps one of the I'm going to use maybe two examples, one from my painterly work and the other from my solar work. And the first example I'll take is the Embassy of Kuwait. And they had a massive window, which was kind of 30 feet high and 25 feet wide. And they wanted to, it was right in the main foyer where all of the diplomatic guests would be received. But they had a view outside that they wanted to block. And so I created a window which was had a great deal of gold leaf and Middle Eastern printing on it. and made a kind of a beautiful golden calligraphy that spread across this massive window and blocked the view while keeping the light really soft and quiet and beautiful. And very, in that kind of environment, they wanted something that felt elegant, understated, and calm. They didn't want to, for their guests and diplomats that they were receiving there, they wanted a very, something that really made everybody feel at home, warm. In fact, the color of the glass needed to be compatible to the, so that people's faces looked warm, lovely, and golden. And this environment needed to be elegant and understated and quiet, contemplative. And there was also seating there, so people would be sitting and look, and they could get close to it and look at it. Another example would be the cathedral where I've done the solar windows in Saskatoon. They're 200 or 300 feet from the ground. They're 37 feet high by 12 feet wide each. And what they wanted to do there was to show solar collection and show a sense of stewardship, to show solar windows as being as beautiful as possible. And they're the first solar stained glass in the world that's in a church or cathedral. So they wanted this to be a kind of outstanding and beautiful example of solar, and it's viewed from a couple of hundred feet away. So talking to the clients and finding out both what they want and who they are. I think that my work is really in finding who they are and finding a visual expression for that they love to present to the world.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And what is who inspired you?
I am terrifically inspired by many painters, and I love the medieval stained glass windows. I love the medieval paintings. I love contemporary work. I love Matisse and Rouault. But a really very particular inspiration is my teacher, Lawrence Lee. He was the master from the Royal College of Art, and I apprenticed with him after art college. And the way that he taught me, he was just one of the kindest and most generous, but exacting people I'd ever met. And so it was when you learn with a great teacher, you feel that you have to, for the rest of your life, you have to carry on doing the best you can because they have given you their time and it's been so precious.
Right. And then you become the great teacher.
Well, maybe when I get a little older.
Let's not rush it, right? Chris is asking a question to you. She says, how does stained glass play a role in healing people's emotional upset and bringing calm and peace? How does it do that? I love that question, and I truly believe that color and colored light has healing properties. When I create a room which is for people who need calm, and the room has a lot of blue glass, and they sit down there, they really do calm down. I mean, I'm sure that if you took their pulse, you would find that actually people sitting in a room with a kind of a wonderful, calm blue light are feeling calmer. Other people need energy, and you can use reds and yellows and oranges, the warm end of the spectrum, to help give people energy. Yellows are wonderful for helping kind of to bring intellectual capacity. Green has a wonderful healing sense. It's in our stained glass windows, so we often don't have just purely one color. And so, but a lot of my work tends to be predominantly one color mixed in with others to help it feel really alive. And what is that one color? Because when I look at your work, I see so much color.
It'll vary. And I suppose there's not only the color itself, but I often use dichroic glass with a strong reflectivity. I use mirror. I use areas of opacity put next to transparency, a strong blue next to a very light one, turquoise next to a green. So I mix things in all kinds of different ways in every project. And in every project, I give myself something new to do. I decide that I need to keep learning. And so I give myself something I have never done before. And it keeps it very fresh and alive for me. But in terms of healing, I absolutely believe that colored light heals people.
So I love that thought of yours, and thank you for sharing that. It's really I'm processing it for myself. So with every project, you give yourself something new to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So can you give me an example? Like, can you tell us what you're working on now?
Yes, I have some wonderful projects right now. I'm working for a historic church here in Toronto, creating their 100-year celebration. It's set in a historic church, and it's a beautiful stone tracery, a lovely kind of Gothic arched window. And on the exterior, I'm creating bird-friendly glass so that I'm keeping the old window pattern from a window that was taken out of that, making it in clear glass, but also making it a glass that birds can't fly into. So that even when I'm doing something which is in a traditional setting, I'm thinking about the things that we need to do for glass here on the earth right now. And in Toronto, we're on a major migration route, and I also have a grant from the Arts Council to develop bird-friendly glass, which has the capacity to gather solar energy. So that's very exciting and totally new.
That is exciting. So they didn't come to you and ask you to do that. That's something that you foresaw that in this piece, that's what they needed.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
And it was wonderful. We recently had a meeting at City Hall in Toronto with the person who was on the kind of historical committee, and they loved it because it's something that they wouldn't have thought of, but they do love to be a part of what's new in the world and to care for the environment. So I find that my clients, not only do I like learning new things, and I learn often through them, but and they're kind of with me on a journey.
So what is that journey for you? Because you're so interesting. What is your journey for you?
That's a very good question. I feel that I am really here to learn and to work with light. I'm here in the world to do something. I've been given a wonderful education and great tools and great opportunities, and I'm here to keep that going and to not become complacent, not settle into creating designs that are kind of convenient, but every single time to kind of open it up and push a little bit, push myself, and bring my clients with me.
And working with life, I mean, and you have a I would say one of the like a positive outlook on life. You know, yeah. I could say work with life to someone, and they would go, "Oh gosh, work with life. It's this, it's that. There's nothing to do." Blah, blah, blah. But you see life from a colorful perspective, don't you? And from an endless possibilities.
I do, and I feel that we need to push that. I could certainly get depressed reading the newspaper, and I do get a little down. But then I think that we have a responsibility to keep moving and to bring about the best that we can with the tools we have.
I like that. I'm gonna borrow that if I can. Work with life.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to show some of your. Oh, so here I have a question before we go on. What is your favorite color?
I don't necessarily have a favorite color, really. However, if I had to be alone in a room with a color, I would probably choose blue.
Blue.
Yeah. But not a heavy, dark, purpley blue. It would really need to be kind of closer to a green blue, because there's just there's a as you move towards purple, it can become very heavy and dark.
Right.
The color blue. So it'd be a blue green.
Yeah, I like blue. My coaching room is the room that I use at home to coach in is blue.
And your background right now is blue.
Yeah,
Nice.
Go figure. And I look good wearing blue. I just like blue.
Yeah.
So that's man. I like blue. I want to show some of your work, and I want to know.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? This is interesting. Chris is asking. This is very interesting because I was going to ask you something similar. She's asking if you listen to music while you work in your studio. And my question was, well, that's her question. Do you listen to music? But my question also was, have you ever done art that coincided with music? Like, was there music going on in the background at the same time people were watching your art, and did it play together?
Oh boy, that's a wonderful question, and you really tapped into something important for me. I listen to music all the time while I'm designing. I love contemporary composers like Arvo Pärt and John Taverner. I also had a favorite composer here in Canada, Oliver Schroer, and we often did collaborative things together. We did, he did concerts in my studio. He wrote songs for some of my pieces, and I created art for some of his songs. So it's a little tough. He died 3 or 4 years ago, and at a very, very young age, composing right to the very last day of his life. And it was a very special time.
You know, recently, I'm sorry to hear that, and I bet that it was just an amazing. You can't do it again the same way. It just had
Probably not.
It just had to have been that way. But I know that recently, which was amazing to me. I'm sure there are people out here that it's not so amazing to, but during the Christmas holidays, we love to ride around and look at the lights, and a lot of the lights are digital to music.
Right. Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And I have an interesting project right now I can tell you about in Milwaukee at an old brewery where I'm doing a kind of a new skylight for them. And in the cupola, the glass cupola above, I'm doing an LED lighting program, which you'll be able to see from the exterior at night. So it's really special. There's kind of the stained glass will be, not exactly traditional, but it will have traditional elements to it for the skylight. And then these LEDs will form an incredible light show for the passers-by at night.
Wow. So how many projects are you working on at one time?
Usually about 5. But some of them are very long. Some of them take a couple of years to finish. And so 5 is really quite enough.
So you have an extraordinary amount of patience.
I think I do. It's I think that architectural glass tends to attract people who have a certain degree of patience. It's not art that happens immediately. There's a great deal of it's a rather reflective art. You have time to kind of sit and watch things develop and time to talk to people and to develop your work with architects, clients, and the building itself.
There's so many pieces.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I know that, a sculpture sits down and starts to form the body or whatever, and things can change, and an artist paints and things can change, but you really are working with so many different pieces. And
It's
go ahead.
And it can be complicated. Because you need to bring together perhaps the contractor and the architect and the solar engineer and the artisans who are working on the glass part of it. Everybody is part of this conversation along with the clients of the building.
And how do you see the light of how it's going to beam off ahead of time? I mean, you're working in your studio, then it's fabricated in Germany. How do you envision the way the light is going to shoot and the colors, and how do you do that?
Experience has been the great teacher in that way. I also make an architectural model, and that architectural model I shine light through it, and I play with it and think about it and look at it, and but there's always some little surprises, things that you once would know. Windows in sight, there are maybe some things that you just couldn't have imagined. And that happens every time. For the most part, they're beautiful little additions.
Yeah, I bet. They're gifts.
Yes, they are.
So we have one more question, and then I'm going to show you the PowerPoint. So how has your art changed you as a woman? As an artist, as a woman over the years? Or how's it shaped you as a woman?
I would say that it has given me a terrific identity, and I have brought my family. I have two sons and my husband. They have come to all kinds of dedications and religious services right across the spectrum. I looked over one day and they were all wearing prayer shawls and yarmulkes. The next day we were at a Catholic church, and they were, so I would say that I've been able to have a loving family, and to have my work. It's certainly not easy. The generation of women artists before me who worked in glass, none of them married, and so to do both things has been a terrific gift, and it was, I would say, very hard at the very beginning, but I'd come home with a great education. I loved what I did, and I didn't want to give it up, and so I really have to thank my family for kind of being supportive and coming with me to hundreds of dedications and being supportive of my work and my travels.
Yeah, I would have to agree to that, certainly. So now let's go and share some of your pieces, and you can describe them, and there's several of them. So if you think we should pass one by and to go to the next one, we can. So we'll start here.
Hey, we're here in the studio, and I'm creating glass samples and making a full-size drawing for a solar project. And if we can go to the next one. And here we are, the solar panels have arrived, and my art glass is being fired in the kiln there. If I'm quiet, you can just maybe go to the next one if you like. Oh, and there we are. Now there is a stained glass panel where you have solar cells and dichroic glass etching, and this is a working solar panel. There were 12 of these panels that were created for Regent College at UBC.
Okay, next.
There we are. There's those panels. It's a wind tower. It's won an award from the American Institute of Architects for a Sacred Landscape, and really the first in North America that takes solar cells and art glass and brings it together. There's what the energy is doing. It's collecting energy and bringing energy to that lighting column in the very back, illuminating the tower and the park at night. I was so proud to be on the cover of PV Power. It's the International Energy Agency magazine, and the first time that they had brought art to their cover. So I was very proud of this. And we're back in the studio, creating work for Grass Valley Elementary School in Camas, Washington, which is just outside of Portland.
Well, can I interrupt you here when you're talking about an elementary school? Because I know there's something else that I wanted to ask you about, which we'll see later on, a set of stairs. So what is it about an elementary school that...
Well, this project came about, the architect had a number of green initiatives in the school. He had a green roof, he had windmills, and he said every time I talk about solar, they're just going to put it on the roof and the kids can't see it. So I want to bring it into the school. He said, could you do that? And I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So I came out to Portland, I met with the architects, I met with the school board, and we then began a process to actually create a solar project in the school. And that's what we'll see in the next few slides.
And Sarah, what message or what change occurs in a school that does something like this? I mean, how does it affect the kids?
Well, it's fantastic because in this project they actually see that the solar energy is creating light, and it's something that there's none of the technology of solar, which is usual. There's no inverter or controller. There's no batteries. There's a big orange cord that simply goes from my art solar to a fixture that I've made on the wall in the hallway, and it's an incredibly simple and clear demonstration of solar. When the sun is shining, that fixture's on. When the sun is gone, there's no light.
So really, it's a demonstration. I mean, they can actually see how things are being done, and they don't have to just listen to somebody tell them it's being done. They can be a part of it being done, and they know it's being done and that it's really a process.
That's right, yeah.
It's fabulous. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll see the next one.
Okay, so we've got the installation there at the school for their main stairwell. And there's a lovely shot from the exterior. And you can see the cells. I think of these a little bit as a kind of, they're these wonderful color blocks. And it's a little bit like Lego. So I've kind of taken a child's toy and turned it into the basic idea for the stained glass window.
Oh, this is just magnificent. Do you go to the installation, Sarah?
I often go. It depends on how far away it is and what other projects I have. But here's the kids on the stairwell, and we haven't had any vandalism. There is an incredible sense of ownership, and yet it's a public school. And there's one other thing I'd like to say, Marilyn, was that as we were doing this project, there was a suburb right beside the school which had an ordinance against solar panels. And they gave us a bit of a problem for a while, the fact that we were going to be putting solar panels in the school. But now that they have seen how beautiful it can be, they have withdrawn their bylaw against solar.
I can't even imagine why they would do that. I'm sitting here and I kind of did something with my arms, and Amnon said, "Are you cold?" I said, "Well, no, but I might have just had the chills from what you just said." So give me an idea, and I don't know if you can tell us exactly, but what would a range of something like this cost?
I think that you could think perhaps between $400 to $500 per square foot.
Okay.
A lot of art projects glass projects are based on a square foot price.
Okay.
And here we have that lovely projection of color from my windows on the main stairwell for the school. And it changes all day and it changes all year as the sunlight changes.
Oh, so this is not staying. I thought, oh, so this is a reflection?
Yes, yeah, that is just the reflection of the light coming into the space from my window.
Oh, my word. I had no idea. I thought it was like a stained glass set of stairs.
No, and what you can imagine is that every day that changes, Marilyn. It changes every hour as the sun moves.
So what did you do different in this project?
It's actually most of my work has really takes into account the passage of light and how the color will affect the space. And I just had wonderful, strong south light. So I used it as well as I could.
Goodness.
And here's that fixture we talked about. See the big kind of cord that's coming across the wall to the fixture?
That's fabulous. I'm not just keep staring at it, so he hasn't clicked the button fast enough because he's like looking at it.
And this is a little area that's underneath the stairwell, which is a continuation of my windows. And it provides, they've got a bench there for kids to sit and to read and to be quiet. And the principal told me that she brings her difficult parents here.
Her difficult what?
Parents.
Oh my God, I thought I heard you say that.
Yeah, that's right. Not her difficult kids, her difficult parents. And they can have a lovely quiet space. And it calms them. It's because there's a beautiful colored light. And they're sitting right in that beautiful colored light, and it calms people down and gives them a chance perhaps to talk.
Well, I think, we touched upon so many things. It's been so fabulous. But one of the things that I'm sure happens is, sometimes people want to meditate, but they don't know how. And sometimes when you use certain music and obviously light, something happens. There's a zapping of some sort,
Right, exactly.
and you just kind of go in, you get into a space without a struggle.
That's right, yeah. And as soon as you walk into some spaces where they have really done a beautiful job with the light, you just have that lovely sense of calming down. And if you combine that with color, you've got an absolutely potent tool to use.
Yeah, really. So we have more.
And here we have something a little bit at a much bigger scale. Those windows are at Cathedral of the Holy Family out in Saskatoon, and they're 37 feet high by 12 feet wide each. And the first solar stained glass that has gone into a cathedral in the world. And here we are creating the art glass at the studio. There are 54 panels. Every single one of them was a trapezoid, but a different dimension. Quite a complex project. And our fellow at the solar place, he had to hand solder every single one of the 1,113 solar cells. And it was because the glass was a trapezoid shape. Every single part of it had to be custom done.
So are the people that work with you in Germany, are they artists?
They're artisans, and so they're craftspeople. And they have a 4-year training as craft people. Some of them specialize in airbrushing, others specialize in etching, painting, lamination. Some of them have all of those different techniques. Other people do installation. There's altogether 65 craftspeople, and they're there to assist the artists.
And they specifically work for you?
And with other artists and on restoration projects. The studio is called Glassmellerei Peters. It's in Paderborn near Hanover, and it is a family-owned studio, which is in its fourth generation of being family-owned, and it's an exceptional place. You wouldn't find anything like it in North America. So here we have some of the panels, and I've used a beautiful silver-colored cell because it had a lovely match with the white zinc of the building facade. And an interior shot of going up and taking a look at the windows from the interior. You can't be afraid of heights for this job. And this is Christoph Erban, who's working on he is a solar engineer and one of the finest in the whole world, an exceptional person. He's also the person who came to the studio that I mentioned earlier and asked if there were any artists who would be interested to work with solar in their art class. And he's currently doing a PhD at the University of Delft. And here's our solar stained glass. And it gathers about as much energy as 3 houses would use for a year.
Okay, say that one more time.
My windows here gather as much energy as about 3 or 4 houses would use in a year. And this energy is the solar cells are tied to the grid, and then the cathedral receives a rebate on their energy.
Wow. And so when you say it gathers as much as 3, in what period of time are we talking about? In a year, you said?
Over a year.
Over a year.
Yeah. And there's a lovely shot at night, of the windows at night.
Is that it?
Are they not using the electricity to power local devices, lights in the cathedral? Is it just going back to the grid and they are using electricity normally as though they did not have that?
That's right, Ammon. And it's because otherwise they would have to store the energy.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So it's easier for it to go to the grid and then for them to get the rebate for it. And there we have Saskatoon is the sunniest city in North America. And I saw this on somebody's Facebook page, God Goes Green. I didn't make up this design, but I loved it. And so I've included it in the presentation here. I think it's wonderful.
It is just perfect. I mean, it's perfect.
And here we are. I'm back in the studio creating the full-size drawings for my project at Harbourfront in Toronto. Harbourfront is a theater.
Is there a project that you've done in all of these years, like just one that you just love the most out of all of them?
No, I love. They're my children, and I love them all.
It makes perfect sense.
I would say that there's a number of pieces that were kind of breakthrough pieces, and I particularly remember and feel close to those, but I don't have a favorite.
Chris is asking, she said, you did a beautiful glass wall with a yellow background and a tree. She'd like to know the story behind the design.
One of the things that has become really interesting in the last while is that in sacred space, many people have been interested in the idea of a tree of life. And of course, in both in the New Testament and in the Torah, we have this tree of life. It's in Eden. For Christians, it's also in Revelations. There's this beautiful text throughout the Bible related to trees and sacredness. And trees, I think, have a special place. They They inhabit both realms of both heaven and earth. They're rooted in the earth and they reach towards heaven. So for me, this idea of trees and life are particularly, it's beautiful to bring that into a church because we bring nature, we bring shelter, we bring a reminder of our stewardship. It's wonderful for me because so many different people relate to it. It's not a religious symbol that some people cannot relate to.
Right.
For me, it's a world symbol.
Right. It's universal. It doesn't sit in one religion.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I love it for that reason. Mm-hmm. And I love water for that reason too.
Yeah. Now this is a beauty. What is this?
Okay, we're looking at just a tiny section up on the easel of my work for Harbourfront in Toronto, and it's all painted, and they put it up in natural light so I can see how things are working. And if I don't like a particular panel, we take it down and make it again. And so we're looking at work put up on an easel so I can judge it in natural light.
But you are a busy lady, aren't you?
Well, it's good for me to keep busy.
You're fascinating.
And here, go ahead, Marilyn.
No, I was just saying you're fascinating. You're just a beautiful guest. Let me say that right up front before the end, and we're almost at the end anyway. So let me say it. You're a beautiful guest. You speak beautifully. You answer the questions lovely. You're sharing just something so magnificent in such a way that you've made it so comfortable to connect with it. You know, you've made it so personable, and I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Well, I feel that artists have a really special role in being able to bring these new technologies. This project at Harbourfront was a solar one. And we can add a human story, we can add color and a play of light. We can do things that the technology by itself can't do. And if we make it beautiful, I think that we can bring it ahead in the world.
So this one is, thank you for saying that. And I know we only have a few minutes left, so tell us and tell our audience where they find you and what will they find when they find your work online and your books and all of that.
Well, my website is probably the very best way to get in touch with me, and it's sarahhallstudio.com, and the Sarah's got an H in it. And I think that people on there can, they can also contact me and reach me. They can see my solar work. They can see the books I've published and read testimonials and having a little bit of an adventure for themselves. And if they have any questions, they can get in touch with me.
Do you do any residential work or mostly commercial?
No, I would say it's mostly institutional, and I feel more comfortable at a larger scale.
Mm-hmm. So, this theater. Wait, can you go? Wait, go back to that theater, Amnon, for a second.
Yes.
Was this the theater? Yeah. What is that?
We have solar being collected, and it's sitting right on Lake Ontario. So we have this lovely water image that culminates in 360 photographs of the relationship of our human relationship with Lake Ontario.
Well, Sarah, you are just fabulous, and one of the things that just struck me is you are. I thought I was a good listener, but you are the queen. I will turn it over to you because you are listening to so many things that it's phenomenal. I mean, you're listening to everything that you need to listen to put these extraordinary pieces of work together.
Well, thank you so much, Marilyn. It's been an absolutely wonderful pleasure talking to you, and it also it feels so supportive. You're listening to my story and to and being interested in the work I'm creating. This is the bird glass, and what we want is to kind of save bird lives in Toronto. and collect energy for the building, and to show a new way to live.
Yeah, and you're going to be doing that for a very long time, I see. And I for one will be looking at glass in a whole new way. And looking at the glass to be able to kind of take me in, to be able to kind of envelop me and have me be part of the experience. So I want to thank Sarah for being here today, and I want to thank all of you for sharing with us, and for being here and for being part of this experience, because I really believe that this has been a universal experience today, having
Thank
us
you
all
so
together.
much, Marilyn.
Yeah, it's been great, Sarah. You're really a terrific guest, and you've shared so much about your work. So I know you've got lots of projects on the horizon and you're doing things. Is there something that you would like to do, some kind of institution that you would like to do that you have not done yet, that you have an idea, or something that's kind of festering but you haven't had that chance yet?
There is one thing coming for me, which I am incredibly excited about, and that's an exhibition at Chartres in France. It's a solo exhibition, and I'll be the first non-national glass artist to have a solo exhibition there. It is kind of the most prized medieval glass in the world, which is at Chartres Cathedral, and right next door is where I'm in 2017 is where I'm going to be having my exhibition. And I will bring together so many of my different ideas and color and light and technology. So, and I'll be able to share that in a new way with people.
2017.
That's right. Yep.
Ooh, wait. What is that?
I'm going to send you an invitation.
You better. And I want everybody to know that Sarah has invited me to Toronto, right?
Yes, that's right. Next June.
June 20th.
For a stained glass tour.
For a stained glass tour. So I think we should take a little. I really want to do that. I think this is. Oh, there's something just so amazing about these pieces. What is this?
We're in Arizona here at St. Barnabas in the desert, and this is my fire flower, and it's a. I went out to the desert and made all kinds of drawings of the plants I saw, and came back and created 36 windows that are based on these the drawings of desert plants. This is one of them. Oh, and this is Best Tikva Synagogue in Toronto, and my window for Sukkot.
They're all so different. That's what's so amazing about them.
They are.
You don't
Each
have one
building is
stop.
different.
Huh? Say that again?
I feel that each building and the people who own and care for that building are different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can definitely see. I mean, I haven't studied enough, but I don't see like just your style. I see all kinds of things happening. I don't see, your trademark necessarily, other than the fact that you're using the solar panels. I see somebody who's just creating, an extension of what's there.
It's true. Yep. And this is a window for the Union of Reformed Judaism, New York City. It's for their headquarters, the chapel.
Fabulous. Well, I would love to see you put a piece down here somewhere in North Carolina so I can go and be with it and feel a little Sarah with me.
Well, maybe somebody down in North Carolina will get in touch with me.
You've never done anything here in Raleigh, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no.
Or in North Carolina.
I haven't.
Interesting. Well, with that, Sarah, you are magnificent. Thank you very much for sharing today with us and teaching us so much beyond what I could have even imagined about stained glass. So, thank you
for having me, Marilyn.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you everyone out there for joining us today, and we look forward to being here with you next week. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, and if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.